The Saturday Night Live, most viewers remember, is a whirlwind of iconic characters, unforgettable catchphrases, and live TV chaos that somehow turned into comedy gold. But for Jane Curtin, one of the show's original cast members, the truth behind the laughter was far more complicated. At 78, Curtin is finally breaking her silence about what the real SNL was like during its earliest years, and her account doesn't match the myth. Behind the applause and the roar of the audience, there was tension, bruised egos, fierce competition, and moments that pushed cast members to the edge. Curtin wasn't merely a witness, she was living it. She watched friendships form, rivalries ignite, and careers rise while others quietly unraveled. Now, she's sharing what the cameras never captured: who was supportive, who was difficult, and how survival on SNL required far more than raw talent. The brilliant chaos of early SNL, Saturday Night Live began as a groundbreaking experiment, a live variety show that would become a cultural landmark. Yet, behind the scenes, it was a pressure cooker. The cast worked around the clock, constantly rewriting sketches and battling for airtime. The environment was both electric and exhausting, and even the brightest moments were born from exhaustion and stress. Curtin remembers the constant push to be funnier, faster, and more original, even as the show's early seasons often lacked the polish of later years. What viewers saw as effortless genius was actually a grueling process of improvisation, nerves, and late-night panic. Looking back, Curtin admits she didn't always see the show as great television. Nearly 5 decades later, she can even laugh at how much of it hasn't aged well. Yet she still acknowledges the rare flashes of brilliance that kept the show alive. The pain behind John Belushi's genius. One of the most difficult memories Curtin revisits is her relationship with John Belushi. She insists the tension between them was never personal. It was painful. It came from watching a talented colleague slowly unravel under the weight of addiction. Belushi's legendary party reputation became part of SNL's mythology. But Curtin saw the other side, the exhaustion, the despair, and the sense that the show was feeding his spiral. John wasn't John, he was an addict, she said, capturing the heartbreaking reality behind the comedy legend. Curtin remembers how the next day after partying, the cast was often miserable. For her, the live broadcast was already a high enough rush. The after-hours chaos felt unnecessary and self-destructive. She chose distance, focusing on her work and her family life outside the show, watching from the edges as the environment around her deteriorated. How time changed her view of the show. Rewatching old SNL episodes decades later, Curtin was surprised by how much of it didn't hold up. That really wasn't a very good show. It was terrible, she admitted, laughing at her own bluntness. But her honesty isn't dismissive, it's reflective. She recognizes that the early years were raw and unpolished, and that the show's legendary status has been shaped by nostalgia as much as by content. Still, she can't deny that certain sketches still make her laugh, especially those iconic bits from her former castmates. The brilliance wasn't absent, it was just buried under chaos, uncertainty, and the struggles of live television. Curtin's reflections remind us that SNL's early success wasn't inevitable. It was forged through grit, mistakes, and the rare moments of comedy that managed to rise above the mess. The strain with Lorne Michaels. Curtin's years at SNL were also marked by a strained relationship with the show's creator, Lorne Michaels. The tension escalated as Belushi's behavior worsened. Curtin says she begged Michaels to intervene, warning that Belushi was headed for disaster. "You've got to do something. This guy is going to die," she reportedly told him. Michaels' response felt dismissive, and the moment became a turning point. Communication between them broke down, and the two stopped speaking. The rift grew so deep that fellow cast member Gilda Radner reportedly acted as a messenger between them. The emotional strain of watching a friend self-destruct while feeling powerless to stop it became a defining part of Curtin's experience. It highlighted the darker truth of SNL. The show could produce genius, but it also had a blind spot for the human cost of its own success. Reconciliation at the 40th anniversary. Decades later, time softened the sharp edges of the past. When SNL celebrated its 40th anniversary, Curtin experienced an unexpected moment of healing. The reunion wasn't just a party, it was recognition. For those who helped build the show in its earliest, most chaotic years, it was a chance to be acknowledged. Curtin was grateful that Michaels made the night possible, and she described it as one of the best nights of her life. It wasn't just about nostalgia, it was about closure. In the same room, the cast could finally see the show for what it was: messy, groundbreaking, and deeply human. The reunion became a quiet acknowledgement of shared history and the complicated bonds formed under the bright lights of live television. The hidden pressures of a misogynistic era. In a 2019 interview, Curtin offered a broader view of the culture around early SNL. She explained that the environment was clouded by drugs, sexism, and a lack of cultural awareness. As a woman in comedy during the 1970s, she often felt dismissed and undervalued. She compared her SNL experience to earlier improv work in Cambridge, where men and women were treated equally, and she found the contrast jarring. She also expressed frustration at how casually the Equal Rights Amendment was dismissed at the time, highlighting how stagnant the culture still was. Yet her later work on Kate and Allie showed her that television could carry emotional weight. Hearing from divorced men and women who felt seen by the show changed her understanding of storytelling, proving that comedy could be both funny and meaningful. The Chevy Chase-Bill Murray fight. One of the darkest stories from SNL's early years involves Chevy Chase and Bill Murray. According to Curtin and Lorraine Newman, the 1978 fight between them was one of the most painful backstage moments in the show's history. Tensions had been building since Chase left the show earlier that year and returned as a guest host. Murray, who had replaced him, felt the resentment intensely. Curtin described the atmosphere as an awkward family reunion, where smiles were forced and resentment simmered. The argument quickly escalated into a physical fight, pulling John Belushi into the chaos. Though it ended as quickly as it began, the emotional damage lasted much longer. Later, Murray and Chase eventually reconciled enough to work together on Caddyshack, but the incident remains a stark reminder of how fragile the early SNL family really was. A different path after SNL. While many of her peers pursued big-screen stardom, Curtin chose a steadier path, building a career rooted in television and longevity. Her first major post-SNL success came with Kate and Allie, where she played Allie Lowell, a divorced mother navigating adulthood with humor and heart. The role won her 2 Emmy Awards and established her as a force in television comedy. Later, she found renewed energy on Third Rock from the Sun, playing Dr. Mary Albright, the grounded human in a family of alien eccentrics. Beyond sitcoms, Curtin lent her voice to animated favorites like Recess and Cyberchase, appeared on Sesame Street, and continued to work steadily across TV. Her career may not have been defined by blockbuster fame, but it was defined by consistency, resilience, and craft. Outro: A life of comedy, truth, and grace. Jane Curtin's legacy is more than her iconic SNL characters. It's the story of a woman who survived the chaos of early television and built a life defined by steadiness, honesty, and grace. At 78, she speaks with clarity about the pressures, the rivalries, and the pain that accompanied the rise of one of the most influential shows in television history. Her reflections don't just humanize SNL, they remind us that comedy often grows from struggle. In the end, Curtin's story is not just about laughter, it's about endurance, integrity, and the complicated cost of living in the spotlight. The show may have been groundbreaking, but the people who built it were flawed, real, and deeply human.